So those are all similarities that I've found between the two. I've thought about time management also. Mothers can definitely juggle a whole bunch of different things at the same time. That's what leaders need to do. Mothers have a long-term vision for the life of their kids. That's what leaders should do. They need to have a long-term vision for their employees. Think about how they will develop them, what their organization is going to look like 5 years or 10 years down the road. Mothers are also great at conflict management. If you have more than one kid, inevitably you're going to have to deal with sibling rivalry. Mothers know how to do that. They know that they will have to separate the kids for a little bit so the tension comes down, and then they will address the problems and they will talk to their kids and make sure they find some common grounds so they can get along and live together in a peaceful way. Well, it's the same thing as a leader. You need to be able to deal with this kind of thing. When there's conflict, you can't just walk away or ignore it. You have to deal with it. What do? You separate people, let the emotions quiet down a little bit, and then you can address it with them and show them that you have common ground. And common ground is always something you can build on. So that's another competency. You also think about role modeling, of course. As a mom, you know that you can't expect something from your kids if you're not demonstrating it yourself. I remember one day telling my kids, hey, you can't text and drive. And my youngest son just said, Mom, you do it sometimes. We see you do it. And I'm like, well, I do it when I'm at the traffic light and we waiting. But that doesn't make sense. For him, it's like, Mom, you text and drive. In their mind, my credibility is shot. It's the same as a leader. You can't expect people in your organization to do any given behavior, to perform any given behavior and then just do it, demonstrate something different. You have to practice what you preach. If you tell people that safety is important in the organization, you better have safe behaviors. You can't be driving in the parking lot of your organization at 50 miles an hour. So that's another thing that, leaders should learn from mothers. Anyway, so I found a lot of similarities between the two, and I realized that after all, yes, maybe I was a stay-at-home mom for 2 or 3 years or 5 years, but in that process, I learned a lot about the simple principles that make leadership accessible to everybody. And I think too often women don't have the confidence that they can take on leadership responsibilities when they've stayed home for a little bit. And when you think about it this way, you're like, hey, what do I have to worry about? I actually have all the competencies. So there is one thing I always like to say is when I introduce myself, I will say, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, and therefore I'm a leader.